Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on this crazy dick ride to nowhere that I like to call a podcast. I don't know how many things we're going to get to today because there's one big one that I want to talk about and I want to cover that has been happening, and some of you have heard about it, and I haven't had my coffee today. I literally have woke up and set everything up, and we're gonna talk about this because one, I think it's important, and two, I think that this is still going to be relevant a year, 2 years from now, maybe even 5 years from now, and that is Blizzard is being investigated and actually having a lawsuit brought against them for harassment in the workplace and like unsafe working conditions, particularly towards women. Surprise, surprise. More tales of women in at these gaming companies just absolutely going through hell to go to work. And I get it. I do. Like being somebody, I talked about this in another episode, being somebody that's worked a lot of jobs, I've also seen a lot of shit. And this is a known thing. What I don't understand is the surprise. There's a lot of people that are like, what? Blizzard? Well, how could you do this to me? And it's like, dude, this has been brought up for as long as I can remember in games. Like people coming out and being like, hey, my boss is a huge dick, and I tried to talk about this, but I just wound up leaving the company. And he was grabbing ass at the Christmas party. He got too drunk and tried to like motorboat my tits in front of the employees and shit like that. And like just crazy stories that have come out that nobody ever really gives the time of day, or if they do the whole Twitter thing where they talk about it for a few hours and they just completely shove it into the back of their mind. And it's crazy because this time, I want to clarify for everybody that's like, oh my God, Twitter's back at it again with the cancel culture. This has been a 2-year investigation by the state of California. This didn't just come up because Stacy got shafted for a promotion. This has been a 2-year investigation by the state of California. And so it's not just like random internet claims, okay? And it's like, I think there's like 29 pages of shit to go through. And I'm not going to go through all of it. We're just going to kind of talk about it. Because some of the shit in here, dude, it's fucking nuts, okay? There's been one of the things that was brought up was frat boy culture. And how like employees would be drunk and like on drugs and stuff like while they're working, like the men would, and they would like be at work playing video games and shit, which I blame Google for, to be honest. Like Google started that whole like open flow workspace where like they got like fucking foosball tables at work and shit to quote unquote relieve stress. Well, you put that shit in front of people, what the fuck are they gonna do? You know, I blame Google. Their stupid think tank bullshit, fishbowl, whatever the hell they call it. But apparently, dudes come to work and they're drunk and on drugs, which is pretty standard for the jobs that I've had. And I think that didn't come as a surprise to people with the quality of the work that Blizzard has been putting out anyway. I don't think anybody's really shocked that the motherfuckers that were making the game were drunk and on drugs. I mean, they weren't making a good game, you know. They were fucking around. So I mean, that doesn't come as a surprise. But what ends up being a problem is like the term frat boy culture turns into the boys will be boys, and it's like, dudes, shut the fuck up, okay? This isn't the 1950s anymore. You can't hit your wife because you didn't have dinner ready, you know. You can't act like that. And frat boy culture, like, they get drunk Go around to like the cubicles and shit and do what they called it. They named it something. I think it's literally called like a cubicle crawl or some shit. Where they go around to the cubicles and like hit on women, and like there was like some jokes about rape somewhere in there. And once again, I cannot stress this enough. Just because you see a stand-up comic, your favorite stand-up comic makes a joke about some divisive shit, like rape, for example, just because they make a joke about that, don't go repeat it at work. You're not that comic, and I guarantee you're telling it wrong. You can't, you're not Bill Burr. You're not Tom Segura or Cat Williams or Dave Chappelle, or you can't go to work and repeat the shit that you heard on a Netflix special. You can't. So stop. People think they're hilarious. You're not. It's so bad. And apparently, going like further down the list of shit, that was just kind of the tip of the iceberg. Okay, like men acting out, right? And again, these are not random internet claims. So before some of you get super defensive and are like, I'm a man, I'm not like that, I'm not like other guys, just calm down for a second. Okay, this is literally being investigated by the state. This has been investigated by the state, and it's these things are for all intents and purposes, they're going to be submitted as real evidence in the court case. Okay, so this isn't as much of allegations as people would like to believe, because it's already been investigated. This is shit that has been collected as evidence. Now, do I know it's true? No, because I didn't investigate the case. But like I said, there's 29 pages of shit from the state that's not like it's not Tammy on the internet trying to get some clout because a streamer broke up with her or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is a serious thing that's been going on for a long time. And again, this shit has been going on so long. Like, you guys remember Ubisoft last year? It was like in 2020, depending on when you're listening to this. There was a dude that was like, one of the higher ups was just out here fondling like female employees and shit, like at work. Like, what the fuck? And I've worked at places where that shit is acceptable, and I've worked at places where that shit is not acceptable. Like, I've worked at places where they ran like a fucking like nightclub, you know what I mean? Like, somebody walks up to the bar and they're like putting their arm around the women that are at the bar and shit, and it's like, dude, you don't know them. Stop fucking touching them. You're sweaty. You're gross. You think that you smell good because of that fucking Axe body spray you put on, but your armpit smells like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, a girl doesn't want to be touched, so just leave her alone. Like, you're gross. You're drunk. You're sloppy. Get the fuck away. Like, I've worked at places that are kind of like that, where like the boss was always just a little too handsy, or like a little like making like weird comments and shit. And then I've worked at places where it's absolutely not acceptable. And I've got to tell you, it was a lot more enjoyable to work at places where it wasn't acceptable, strictly because people were happier. And that's just my personal experience. Happy employees equals happy work environment, which in turn releases a better product. You get more productivity out of your employees. You get more enjoyable conversations with people, right? Like, not everybody's just defensive all the time. You can be a little bit more, relaxed maybe, without being weird. And again, going down the list of shit that is in this document, there was a pregnant employee that wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. She wasn't allowed to go take a piss. She's pregnant, you fucks. If you had a human baby inside of you constantly fucking karate kicking your bladder, like, you'd probably need to go to the bathroom too. So essentially her solution was I'm just not going to drink any more fluids while I'm at work because they make me have to go pee. You know what I mean? Like, she's just trying to think of a strategy on how to not piss at work. Personally, I would have went the Stadium Pal route. A funnel and a tube leading down to a bag on the leg. I probably would have went that route. And then I would have still crushed my fucking Monster Energy because I have a problem. But anyways, this was her solution, was to stop drinking fluids while she's at work. And she wound up in the ER for dehydration. I don't care where you work. There is a very small percentage of jobs where you cannot get up at any point of the day. Okay? There's a very small percentage of jobs. And I would imagine that those jobs are incredibly high stress, right? Like if you're an EMT and you're in an ambulance and you got to take a shit, well, I guess you're shitting yourself. Okay? Because there's somebody that needs your help right in front of you, right? If you're a surgeon during a long surgery, you got to hold it. You got to fucking squeeze it, okay? If you're an air traffic controller and you got busy, you're probably fucked. But the idea that a grown human being cannot pick when they can go to the bathroom like it's elementary school is laughable. Well, you gonna give them a fucking hall pass too? Give them a little stick of wood, the bathroom pass? They gotta bring it back? They're gonna time you? I have never once in my adult life asked to go to the bathroom. And on top of that, if I did feel the need to ask and somebody told me no, I would laugh at them and go anyway. I don't care if you're my employer or not, okay? If I got to piss, I'm going to go take a piss. Otherwise, it's going to end up on the floor. Like, that's just kind of what it is. Oh, you telling me I can't go to the bathroom? Okay, well, then you can pay the cleaning fee because I'm about to piss all over this carpet like a dog. Because I'm not going to pee in my clothes. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to pee in my pants. No, I'm not going to fuck up my clothes. This is on you. So I'm gonna form a nice little puddle right here next to my desk, and that's gonna be pissing spot. Or maybe I'll pee in a trash can. Maybe I'll do that. A little bit more civilized, right? I'm a grown adult. We're not doing this, We're not asking permission from other adults to go to the bathroom. Again, unless you're a firefighter and you're in the middle of a fire. Right? There's certain jobs where I'm sure that you can't get up for even a little bit. But let's be honest, bro. Almost every job you can take a second to go take a piss. Especially if you're a pregnant lady. The fuck? If I was growing another human being inside of me, nobody's telling me what to do. Like, I'm already kind of like that. But if I had a literal human being, if I was a walking incubator, I would not, nobody could tell me what to do, ever. I'd be like, you see this? You see this? No. Just like rub my belly. No. I'm doing bigger things, okay? I'm doing more than you've done in your entire life, and you're just rubbing your fucking belly. Like, that's crazy. Like, being pregnant is the most badass shit that you can do, because usually you're just kind of like subjected to it, right? Like, you kind of like you're like, oh, I want kids. Looks like I got to go through this to get them, though. And it's like, the husband's like, or the boyfriend or whoever, the man in your life is like, I want kids. Can you give me one? And you're like, yeah, you know what? I'll be happy to do this. I'll be happy to give up 9 months of my life, and then a month or two after that, while my vag comes back together because I've just been destroyed from pushing out a 9-pound watermelon. Like, this is just the most gangster shit you can do. Your fucking ankles get all big. It's just crazy to me. You know, you grow another human being. And you're going to let fucking Stanley over there tell you can go take a piss or not? No. Fuck you, Stanley. Fuck you, Andrew Nichols. Okay? No. I'm going to go take a piss. But this lady ended up in the ER for dehydration because she couldn't go to the bathroom. And, like, that's horrible. And this was back in, I think the claim was 2014, 2015, something like that, for this lady. It's like shit like that. And then it goes all the way up into, there was an employee that killed herself over her nude photos being circulated. And it's like, what? Like, come on, man. Like the amount of harassment that she was receiving from a supervisor, and then on top of that, like her nude photos like made the rounds at like a holiday party, and it's just like, dude. First of all, apparently they're really close to each other. Like, I understand you're working in a close knit environment whenever you're a development team. Like, I understand that. But that blows my fucking mind. That absolutely blows my mind. And that was really the icing on the cake for a lot of people, I think. And for all I know, that's one of the things that really incited the investigation. This may have happened, and maybe she had mentioned it. I don't know. Or maybe somebody, like a family member of this individual had mentioned that this happened, and then maybe that's what kicked it off. I don't know. But I do know that like legal and HR had overlooked a lot of these instances. So the women this was happening to were just like, well, I guess fuck me, right? Like, you know, as shitty as that is, like, you know, some shit happens. You go to tell the people that are supposed to help you, and they're like, nah, I think it was your fault. And it's like, what time period do we live in? What time period do we live in? And maybe this is also because, like, I don't surround myself with sleazy people. And I'm also not a woman. So I don't necessarily experience the same amounts of issues that women do. I know that. I'm a straight white male. I'm as vanilla as they come. In every sense of the word. But so I'm allowed to fucking say things and do things without fear of my boss trying to fuck me. You know? It just doesn't work that way. Or like if I go to HR with a problem, they're like, you know what? You know, it has to be a certain problem with men though. And I'm going to jump right back to the topic, but let me just have this little sidebar. It has to be a certain problem with men. If I go to my HR person, I'm like, I'm sad. They'd be like, suck it up, pussy, and then kick me back out the door. But if I went to them with a problem and was like, my supervisor is being a huge problem in my life. They're making my work life a problem. They're expecting too much. I bust my ass and I do the most, and I can't seem to make the situation better. I need help. I need you to help me with this person. Then they would take the claim a little more seriously. But for some reason, whenever women do that, it's like weird. It's like they just kind of like brush them off. And I don't know what kind of HR people they have at Blizzard, but they sound fucking horrible. Because again, everywhere that I've ever worked, the HR department was actually pretty fucking good. The exception of one place. It was Lowe's. I worked at Lowe's, and that HR department fucking sucked. Like, absolutely sucked. Fired one of our best employees for vaping in the parking lot. Vaping in the parking lot because they had a no smoking policy. But he was standing next to his car vaping, and they fired him. One of our best people. That's neither here nor there. I just, fuck that. But these HR people weren't believing them. And so, you know, maybe the HR people, the legal people, were in fear of retaliation themselves. Because that's kind of how that works, right? Like, you get a toxic workplace with issues, and maybe they were, if they brought something up, maybe they were scared of not being believed, and then they were going to get retaliation brought upon them. So we don't know. That wasn't necessarily part of it, and for all we know, like, legal was part of the harassment as well. There's been some claims of, like, them going to the legal department and being like, hey, like, I'm performing well. Why am I being treated like this whenever I'm hitting all of my metrics and I'm performing well? And then legal looking at him and being like, well, maybe you do suck. So, it's just like, maybe they were part of it. This whole thing is absolutely disgusting. And the saddest part about it all, other than the employee, like, losing her life over it, to me, is the longevity of this whole thing. This, and the scale. So far in the last, 2-3 years, you have had Riot have these investigations, which was only an internal investigation, not a state investigation. You've had Ubisoft have allegations last year in 2020, pretty severe allegations where one of their leads completely stepped down because, he probably knew he did it. And then you have now Blizzard, which are three titans in the industry that seem to be fucking rotten to the core, which, if anybody's been paying attention over the last decade, these allegations have been coming out, but due to the fact that there's a few false allegations or people not wanting to believe somebody had a bad time because they want to enjoy their video game, they don't fucking listen to it. And that's the shitty part. I told you guys, I don't understand company loyalty or brand loyalty whenever it comes to these big corporations, because they are all suspect as fuck. Now, I know and I understand that not every single person that works at these companies or these corporations or these businesses are bad people. That's stupid, and that's way too black and white of an argument, and we don't deal with that type of shit here, okay? There are some people that work there that I'm sure are wonderful people. The problem is that power really fucks people up. And whenever you get people in a position of power, who's getting in these positions, okay? People that want them, that crave them, that want to be at the top. Does that sound like a super awesome person to you? No. It doesn't. That sounds like an ambitious asshole. Not even like a good ambitious, like an ambitious asshole. They want to be at the top of a company so that they're the ones getting the $150 million bonuses. And the perfect example of this is the Stanford experiment. If you guys have ever heard of that, that's a perfect example of what power does to people. As ridiculous as it is, any amount of power can make somebody fucking lose their goddamn mind. It can be such a small amount of power to get somebody to throw their entire book of morals and principles out the window. And then they think that they can do whatever they want. And unfortunately, there's just a history of dudes that have power over women that think that they just want to fuck them or something. Like, it's strange. And I can't tell if it's a deeper issue than that. I can't tell if it's like these dudes have mommy issues, or maybe they were the guy that thought that driving a nice car would get him pussy. Everybody knew that guy. In high school or college or around town, he was always driving around, and then he would just put all of his money into his car. I'm not saying all car guys are like this, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, he would use that as like a means of picking up women, right? So I don't know if it's like those guys that just so happen to be smart enough to get their way to the top of a company, and they're like, okay, now I can use this. Now they'll fuck me. Like, or maybe they think they're untouchable because they're at the top of the company, or maybe they think nothing's going to come back around to them because, to be honest, for the most part, it hasn't. This whole time, it hasn't. It hasn't come back around to any of them. And it sucks. It's really, really shitty. That this is a norm. And people are obviously making the comparisons. Obviously, Twitter's a fucking mess because people are making this about themselves. You know how people do with tragedy. They immediately make this shit about themselves. They can't stay on topic for more than a sentence, and they make it about themselves, or they talk about how because of this we should believe people about my problems. And it's like, can you just talk about the people that are actually going through some shit? Like, can you stay on topic and talk about, maybe the lawsuit or the issues here? There's also a load of people that are using this to pat themselves on the back and show what a good guy they are. Then, like, I would never, ever. It's like, okay, obviously, dude, like, you don't have to say it. Nobody's pointing the finger at you. So why do you feel the need to say it? Is it because it gets you a few likes? Maybe. Because it makes you feel a little bit better about the shitty things that you've done? Maybe. There's a ton of people that run to social media with this shit, and they're not sharing the actual story. They'll somehow share the story and then also how good of a person they are. Like, they'll put some little tidbit in there that's like, I just couldn't stand idly by and let this injustice continue. It's like, well, it's been going on for almost 10 years. Where the fuck were you? And I understand better late than never, but sometimes, dude, it just comes off as really suspect. Like, you're using this horrible thing that has happened to these people and these women to pat yourself on the back. Get yourself some engagement. And it's kind of weird to me. And people latch onto that shit so hard. And I guess it makes them feel better. Maybe if you felt super hopeless in a situation and that makes you feel better, then maybe that's how you cope with it. But I've even seen people that will tweet out and they're like, I'm not gonna play a Blizzard game anymore. I'm not gonna touch World of Warcraft. This makes me sick to my stomach as a WoW fan. And it's not your fault. You playing World of Warcraft and getting your mount isn't the reason that the fucking supervisors are trying to fuck the employees. Like, that's not your fault. I don't think anybody blames you for playing World of Warcraft, but I understand some of the big WoW people do have to tweet out, or they have to put their 2 cents in about the company because they've in a weird way supported them in such a large extent by bringing so much exposure to the game. But so I do understand that to an extent, but it's not your fault. Some horrible shit happens. It's not immediately your fault, but again, people make it about themselves, and it's nuts. And what's worse is there are women and men that are calling people misogynists over talking about this. They're like, you don't have any room to talk, you misogynist. You misogynistic piece of shit. How dare you? How dare you talk about women? It's like, what do you mean? What? I thought I was trying to help. I was trying to talk about it, Awareness and all that. We don't need your help. Okay. And so what's happening is, like, people are, it's that same shit, man, constantly on the internet, where people get so caught up in trying to help and do the right thing, and they get radicalized to doing, like speaking up and doing shit, and they want to fucking, they're so angry, and they get really just, they're wound up, and they just start firing shots at everybody. And it's like, you're throwing a tantrum right now. You're not doing anything productive. Now, the women that are a part of this, aren't the ones doing it either. It's the women who read about it and have some sort of, traumatic memory of a shitty job they worked at, or a shitty family member, or a shitty boyfriend or husband, and then they lash out because of that. Which doesn't help anybody, by the way. But you know what? Go ahead and trauma dump. You're fine. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. If you're going to do it, maybe might as well make it now, But it fucking sucks because, you say anything and it just gets thrown around. Like, I saw people talking about Asmongold's the name that gets brought up a lot with WoW because he's the biggest streamer, like, in the category. And somebody was trying to call him a misogynist because he was talking about a boob slider or something like that. It's like, you can like boobs and not be a misogynistic piece of shit. Like, you can like boobs and not think that men are superior. I never understood that whole argument. Boobs are great. I think boobs are universally loved. Universally. I don't think anybody really hates them. There are straight women that love boobs. They talk about them all the time. They tell their friends that their boobs look great. Boobs are great. It doesn't make you a misogynist. Especially when you're talking about a fantasy character in a video game, in a fantasy world. How dare you? How dare you talk about these pixels? How dare you talk about this animated chest on a fictional character? Reminds me of what Donald Glover said. He made a joke about a lady in a wheelchair. He said, "Oh, poor made-up lady. Poor made-up lady can't get up pretend stairs." It's the same shit. It's not real. It's fake. Stop trying to make it real. Doesn't make you a misogynist because you like boobs in video games. It just doesn't. I think that's like a lot of people are getting caught in the crossfire because of this situation, and people trying to help too much or hijacking the situation to make it about themselves and their own trauma and their own issues, and then going and using that as an excuse to attack people. It's kind of sad, to be honest, and You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird. But this happens with everything. Every major thing that comes out, people hijack it and make it about themselves in every way. Okay, now that we've done let's talk about this. Like, no, nobody wants to talk about what you're talking about. We want to talk about the actual issue, right? This is a state investigation that's been going on for 2 years that is on one of the biggest companies in the world, and one of the biggest companies, if not the biggest company in gaming, and nothing is going to change. I think that's the biggest point and the biggest nail in the coffin for me, is that what's going to end up happening is what always happens. There might be a settlement. There'll be some people step down. There'll be some employees leave the company. There'll be some people probably get fired, and things will continue on the way they've been going forever. And that sucks. But again, it's the fucking revolving door of people getting into positions of power and then feeling like they don't have to do anything anymore. They don't have to listen to people underneath them, and they want to use that power, no matter how small amount of power it is. They could just be a team lead. It could be a dev team lead that is just like, yes. Oh. Just goes right to their fucking head, dude. Because what's the weirdest part about this too is I saw people immediately blaming like the CEO of Blizzard. And it's like, do you actually think that motherfucker was there when this shit was happening? If he was, like, by all means, fuck that guy, okay? But it's like people don't understand how an office works. You don't just walk around and like, oh shit, what up, Dave, the CEO of this massive company? Like, you're not just walking around and Dave is right there. No, you don't see the CEO on a daily basis. The motherfucker, he's not there. He's gone. He's doing other shit. He's doing CEO shit. Now, granted, is he responsible? I don't know. Did he know? We don't know. Was it brought to his attention? Probably not, because these things get vetted before they get to the fucking very top. Getting in touch with the head of a company. Do you have any idea how hard that shit is? Have any of you ever tried? I want you to try. Any of you that are listening to this, I want you to call as many people as you possibly can and try to get in touch with a CEO and see how that works for you. They are so far removed from the everyday workings of an office and fucking holiday parties that I don't know if he knew. Again, if he did, fuck him. But I'm just saying, the people at the very, very top wasn't necessarily where this shit was happening. This shit was happening at like, development level. Team leads, the people above those supervisors, like over the whole project and shit like that. Like, so people were going after the very top of the company, like, you need to step down now. And he might. What did he get last year? $150 million as a bonus or some shit? He might step down. I would. If I had $150 million, y'all would never fucking see me again. You know why? Because I would be sitting outside of my 12 pools that I put around my house, drinking a fucking Guinness and holding my dick in the other hand. I mean, because why? You know what I mean? You got fuck it money. Why do you need more money? I would step down. Fuck it. Because this shit sucks. This is bad. This is a bad look. And it's worse because it's a state-driven investigation. I know I keep driving that point home because I really think, I know there's people listening to this that are like seething. They're like, and fucking women ruin everything for men. Gaming is for boys. Gaming is for the boys. How dare you talk about these things? It's like, dude, this is a state investigation. They're fucked. Now, again, are they going to be fine? Yeah. All the money in the world, all the lawyers in the world. And Blizzard's just going to continue on. They're going to continue on just like Riot continued on, even though they did an internal investigation. I'm sure, though, if there was a a state investigation done on Riot, there would be some shit uncovered. Or maybe that internal investigation, all that shit that blew up at Riot, maybe Riot got better or something. Maybe they shit themselves. But this isn't playing around, man. And Ubisoft got their shit swept under the rug. This will probably be the same thing. It'll probably have a little bit more consequences, but we're still just going to go on. Developers are going to keep making games. Reddit users are going to keep sending them death threats. The shitty people are going to get replaced. And, those people that are replacing them may not be shitty now, but maybe they become shitty. Maybe the stress of the job and just that, like I said, that power kind of leaks into their brain a little bit. And all of a sudden, they're trying to grab ass at Christmas parties. You know what I mean? And that's not a fun place to work, dude. And this is coming from me. I'm, again, not somebody that is worried about being touched, dude. But if I was getting my arm put around me and shit at work, I'd be like, dude, get the fuck off of me. Like, get off of me. Stop touching me. We work together. That's it. You know, if I was going into a fucking office and somebody's always coming by rubbing my shoulders and shit, don't touch me. Okay? I'm trying to animate some shit. I'm trying to code some shit. I'm trying to get paid and do my job. Stop touching me. You go into your office, boot up the hub, and touch yourself. How about that? It's weird. The thing is, dude, most people are creeps. Most people, I will say, have some creepy tendencies, but you know what? We lock it away behind closed doors. We just do. That's what people do. You have some creepy tendencies. You know, maybe you're into toes, okay? Maybe you like fucking toes. But you don't go around to people at work and try to touch their toes. No. Normal people lock the door, boot up the hub, and then they fucking watch some feet. That's what they do. Or you pay somebody for it. You don't bring that shit to work. What are you, weird? Just keep it to yourself, man. In this situation, not every situation sharing is caring. Like, nobody needs to know about the type of shit you do. And I promise, like I promise you, you will not get lawsuits brought against you for the shit that you do behind a locked door. And if it will get a lawsuit brought against you, don't talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. I should never hear about it. Like, especially at a workplace. For some reason, maybe it's just the fact that people get way too invested in their jobs and they feel that work is the only way that they can meet people. But dating people that you work with fucking blows. And people need to cut it out. I understand there's isolated incidents where it works out for you. And that's cool. But more times than not, it fucking sucks. Just because, like, what are the odds? Okay, do you guys want to go through some probability and some statistics? Just think about this for a second. This metric. What are the odds that the perfect person for you is somebody that you just so happened to apply at the same place, and you got hired and you work the same shift? What are the chances that the perfect person for you, the person that's going to make you happiest in this world, you meet them there? Do you have any idea just the astronomical probability that is not going to happen? There are isolated incidents. I've seen it happen. There's isolated incidents where this is a thing. But it's very, very small. It's like people that meet in high school. What are the chances that the person that you are most compatible with in this world just so happens to go to the same school as you because you live in the same fucking 15-mile radius? What? It is baffling. Go somewhere else and meet somebody. Do not touch anyone you work with, okay? Don't. It's not worth it. Stop being creepy. Like, if this is your way of coming on to somebody, too, like, you know, going around at fucking holiday party, woo, let's go, bro. Let's go, bro. Yeah, you're hyping yourself up in the bathroom because you had one too many shots at Casamigos, and you're in the bathroom in the mirror like, let's go, bro. You got your fucking backwards hat on because it's the only time you can wear it at your fucking office job. You get your backwards flat bill on, and you're like, oh, let's go, bro. Totally gonna fucking... Dude, let's go meet some honeys, dude. Yeah, let's do it, bro. The fuck yeah. You're like high-fiving nobody because you're alone in your life, and that's why you feel the need to grab ass at a holiday party or at an office setting. Nobody wants to touch you. If they wanted to touch you, they would, but they don't. So then you have to project that onto other people, and you try to take advantage of the women that work around you. Make it their problem. And I don't know. This has been such a long-standing thing, and I know we talked about it the entire time today, but it needed to be talked about because, honestly, this has been a long time coming. I'm glad that the state is finally getting involved in one of these situations because here's the deal, guys. I know that some of you have problems with your mother or your sister or whoever, but, like, I have a mother. I have a sister. One of these days, I may have a daughter as a child. And, you know, if they came to you with some of the claims that these women are making, how do you feel, right? There's always that thing. Like, you know, these are somebody's daughter and mother or whoever, right? Like, that's... And it's a very real thing. And I'm not saying believe them without proof, because that's been known to backfire. Like, look at the Johnny Depp situation. Fucking, what was her name? Amber Heard, I think it was. She had done that not only with him, but with somebody else. She's just going around, like, throwing around shit. But this has been a 2-year-long investigation This shit is basically evidence at this point, and the trial is basically a formality at this point as well. If Blizzard somehow gets out of this, I will be amazed. But it's kind of a foregone conclusion at this point. There's just so much against them. So much. My God. Like stuff that's already been collected, and it's not an internal thing. This is like Blizzard is going to get hit. Now, is it going to be a slap on the wrist, or are they going to take the whole arm? I don't know. But I do think, unfortunately, what we're going to see is another cycle of people stepping down, issuing company bullshit apologies. There's going to be a change in the guard at Blizzard, and then the fucking cycle will most likely continue, and maybe we don't hear about it for another 5 years. But maybe, hopefully, it'll clean it up. But I don't think it will, because I think there's probably a bigger issue at hand. But, you know, I'm not smart enough to work that out. I just, I don't know, man. This shit sucks, dude. Like, you don't want to see people mistreated, especially at work, dude. People are just trying to go get paid, dude. They got dreams and aspirations, and they're trying to make their money just like you. Like, they're not there to, nobody gets a job and is like, dude, I really hope that my boss comes and puts his arm around me. I really hope that my coworker comes and touches my tits at work. Nobody does that. Nobody applies for a job hoping for that. And it sucks, man. Just trying to get paid, trying to do their thing. You know, that's their dream jobs for a lot of them. That's a big deal to get on that dev team, and to have that shit fucking happen, like, that's just bullshit. Period. That's all it is. It's bullshit. And I hope that Blizzard gets fucked, because they deserve it. That company is a. I don't like Blizzard, if you guys couldn't tell, but yeah, they need to have their fucking day, dude. It needs to happen, and I hope it gets fixed. And but we'll see. We'll see if it changes. I don't know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. We'll see all of you in the next episode. Take it easy.